Hey, thanks for joining me on Pagosa Adventures. So glad you have joined us. Well, I'm sitting here in Marathon, Florida, the Gulf side of the Keys. The Atlantic side is only about a half a mile that way. But we are at the Jolly Roger RV Park, and I am with the Flamingos. That is the Florida chapter of the Leisure Travel Van Travel Club. Just having a blast with all of these great people here. Now then, I'm flying solo. I'm by myself, my first solo trip ever. That's because Janet, at the last second, my dog Roxy, tore her ACL, and Janet stayed back with her. She had surgery to get that repaired, so Janet ended up not getting to come, and I already had this commitment, and so I'm flying solo. But a couple of nights ago, I stayed at a Harvest Host in Fort Pierce, Florida, called Summer Crush. Great little Harvest Host there. If you don't know what Harvest Host is, I'll put a link down below because I camp for free there, and I'll tell you all about that in that link down below. But now then, I wanted to go over the things that I love and hate about the Mercedes-Benz chassis, because I had a lot of by myself time in that chassis driving down here. I took 3.5 days to get here. I don't like to drive 8-9 hours a day. I like to, about 400 miles a day is what it took to get here from Dallas. It is a long drive, but it gave me a lot of time to contemplate. So anyway, I actually filmed this intro at that Harvest Host, but the wind was so bad in the beginning of that video that I just couldn't do it. So man, I get to share a little bit about where I am right now. But anyway, so we're gonna jump over to that video where I talk about what I hate and what I love about the Mercedes-Benz chassis, because it's definitely a lot to love, but a little bit to hate as well. And so if you're trying to consider whether you want a Wonder leisure travel van or a Unity leisure travel van, that means a Ford or Mercedes, then this might help you out a little bit. But anyway, so let's jump over to that video. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, as well as a little bell notification, and give me a old thumbs up. That really helps. But let's jump over to that video and see what I have to say about the Mercedes-Benz chassis. Okay, let's go over what I love. I want to start this off on a positive note, not a negative. So the positive notes I'm going to, and I've talked about it before, and the absolutely dream is the adaptive cruise control. 1,100 miles, I feel like I haven't even broken a sweat. The adaptive cruise control makes driving an RV so much better. I don't have to just be white knuckling all the time, wondering if somebody's slowing down or speeding up, or what kind of gas mileage am I getting. I know because I set that thing and I forget it. It works perfectly. Of course, you want to make sure you're paying attention and not relying on too much. So I make sure if there's stop traffic, I brake. I don't let the Mercedes do it. So anyway, so that is the thing. Adaptive cruise control, absolutely the best. Now then, the second thing that goes along with that adaptive cruise control is the steering wheel layout. Now then, if you've been watching, Janet and I also got an Airstream this year. We got a 27-foot Globetrotter that I pull with a Ford F350. That thing, I love my Ford Super Duty. It's awesome. And it also has adaptive cruise control, the whole kit and caboodle. But where I really missed my leisure travel van when I was in the Airstream was things like that adaptive cruise control with the settings. So with the Ford, they have the layout and all of this stuff. It's a little more difficult. With this thing, I literally drive with my thumb. It is so easy, so intuitive, so easy to do. With the Ford, it's a little bit more difficult. You don't have a scroll wheel like this thing does. This thing is the best. And the steering wheel layout, everything about it, the way it looks, the way it feels, the layout, everything is fantastic. So that's the second thing I love. Okay, third thing I love is the giant windshield. You get such an awesome view, so much more than just your normal automobile. That huge windscreen is, whether you're in the mountains or either down here in Florida like I am, it is just absolutely gorgeous. It's like you're watching a travel documentary every time you drive. I love that big windshield. Now, the downside of that is the bug cemetery is crazy. It is, a couple of times I had to pull over at a truck stop and get one of those long handles. You do need the long handle to really get it going good, to clean that thing off. But the big windshield makes driving such a dream. Okay, the last thing I absolutely love about it, and really, really love about it, because I'm on a multiple day trip going down to Key West, and that is the trip info that the Sprinter gives you. Now, it's not just beautiful, because the screens are absolutely gorgeous in the Sprinter. S-Class. I mean, this is a Mercedes, so much more of an upgrade than previous generations. They really went all out. But the trip info is awesome. Now then, before I leave on a trip like I did a couple of days ago when I left Dallas, I take the trip and I reset, right? And that's gonna track my entire trip. Tells me how much gas mileage I'm getting, how far I've gone, how many hours I've driven, all of those good things, how many hours I've driven. But every single day, the Mercedes does this automatically. When I get up tomorrow morning and get going, it's going to have another screen that is basically your day. So what's going to tell me, it's going to track for me on the drive down to Key West tomorrow, how many hours we've gone, what's my average miles per gallon, which is about 17, by the way, on this trip after 1,100 miles, how many hours I've gone. And so that's just some good information to have. I always judge that by how far I go, because I always like to stop halfway, either for lunch or to fill up on diesel, whatever you may do. And so I usually try to time that where I just stop halfway. No matter how many miles I'm going, I try to stop halfway. Especially when we have the dogs, to let them out, things like that. But with this trip, I've done the same thing, stopped about halfway. So that's absolutely what I love. The 4 things that really made me appreciate the Sprinter chassis on this trip. Okay, now let's get to what I cannot stand about the Sprinter, and so many easy ways to fix the things that I don't like about it. Mercedes-Benz engineers, I hope you're watching. I'm sure you are, right? But anyway, by the way, this sunset coming through right now is absolutely gorgeous. This Harvest Host is fantastic. Summer Crush, I highly recommend this. If you're not a Harvest Host member, I'll put a link down below. Free camping. Anyway, so first thing that I absolutely hate, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, and that is no TPMS. That is a tire pressure monitoring system. It's a safety issue, right? You got to know what those tires are doing on such a heavy vehicle. Now then, my Airstream, I was able to put a TPMS on aftermarket. My Ford truck had one built in. So when I'm going down the road in that thing, I know what is it? How many tires is that? It's 8 tires. I know what all 8 tires are doing. I know what the temperatures are, and I know what the tire pressure are. And that's how you can tell if you're about to have a problem. Either your tire pressure goes askew or your temperature goes askew, right? When I'm driving this thing, I have no clue. So I get up every morning before I drive out, I take a manual tire pressure gauge, and I go around to all 6 tires, and I check the tires. Now then, very seldom have I ever had to do anything. I carry a Viair with me to air them up if I need to, and I'll put a link to all of those things down below on our Amazon page that you can get those, what I recommend, and definitely carry an air compressor, 100%, because you will, be in a creek if you don't. Anyway, so no TPMS is just crazy. I don't know why they don't put it on, but they don't. On the cutaway chassis. On the other vans, they do. If you buy a, hashtag van life van Mercedes Sprinter, they have a TPMS on. Anyway, ran over. Okay, the second thing is another safety issue, which I don't understand why it's not on there, and the fact and what they do instead is even more of a safety issue. So this thing comes with a a backup camera. It does not have a rear view camera. So when you put it in reverse, you have a huge view. It's a wide angle, it's up top, you can see everything when you're backing up, right? But as soon as you go more than 5 miles an hour, it cuts off. So if you're going down the road, you want to see behind you, because this doesn't have a back window. It does have a rear view mirror, so you can see if your pantry fly is open. But you cannot see what is behind you. And so there is a little button that you can push, and as soon as you push it while you're driving, it actually makes you take your eyes off the road to read a message that comes up that says, this button is not enabled due to safety, because we want you to keep your eyes on the road. So their solution is make you read a message rather than just give you the rear view the rear view camera. So crazy, easy fix, and I don't understand why this is not a thing yet. Okay, the next 2 things are really petty. I mean, really petty, but they were an aggravation and have always been an aggravation driving this thing. First thing is the left side armrest. There is none. I mean, there is, but it tapers back to where there is none. And so I have to use a pillow in order to rest my left arm. Now then, my right arm, Leisure Travel Van gives you a beautiful little foldable armrest. It's very comfortable, ultra leather, it's great. On the left side, the Leisure does not put one there because they have side airbags and you can't put one there. But the door jamb rest tapers back to where there's basically nothing. So you're just like you're doing this. Absolutely so uncomfortable. So I usually get a little pillow, one of these long pillows, I put it there and I rest my arms in. Super petty, I know, but it's still a thing. Okay, the last thing is absolutely another little petty thing, but it's one that I may try to fix through Pagosa Supply Co. on our own. Now then, on the dash of my Sprinter chassis is a little flap. You pick that flap up, and there are the USB ports, the 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter, all of that good stuff. Now then, there are USB ports down below, but you can't use CarPlay. So if you want to use CarPlay and still have your phone out from that little compartment, then you have to use that USB plug. It's a C, by the way, USB-C plug. And then if you want to keep your phone out of that compartment, trying to shut that flap, because it obviously there's no cutout for it, which should be a thing, right? No cutout for it, and so it's hard to get that flap down, or may even pop up while you're driving. Also, I just installed my my dash cam, which I'm really liking, by the way. It's really so far so good. I installed that last week, I do believe. Made a video about that I'll link right there. That runs on a 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter, which I shimmied the wires around, and I have it going in there as well. So now I've got two wires coming out of this flap that you have to press down tight in order for it to latch. Pain in the rear end. Anyway, so I may try to come up with a solution that, you know, maybe we can replace that flap with one that has a grommet in it with a hole that wires can come out of. Something. So again, all of these things are so easy for Mercedes-Benz to fix. So anyway, if you know somebody at Mercedes-Benz, send this video to them, please, so they can see it. But anyway, well, it is such a gorgeous evening here, and the sun is going down. Again, I think nobody lives here or anything. I think I'm on this winery all by myself here. So either that's really spooky, or I'm just gonna, you know, take the place over like I own the place. Anyway, but it's so beautiful. If you're not a Harvest Host member, highly recommend it. So I'm going to go and crash in the Leisure Travel Van now. But anyway, if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the thumbs up if you think about it. I really appreciate that, because all of those interactions helps YouTube send this video out to other people who are interested in RVs and Leisure Travel Vans, Airstreams, whatever it may be. So with that being said, we will see you down in Key West.